Hello everybody, this is Deku's Clone Army, part 7, and, well, let's see what happens. After yesterday, Izuku is very excited for school. And also the fact he gets more friends, since, well, when he was in Aldera, he was not liked. And let's just say, some of the clones have gotten a bit jaded from Aldera. For example, there's a decent amount of clones that would have probably very much liked to burn that place to the ground. But Izuku goes to a different subject besides some of the clones being more violent than he would be. But, well, he still cares for all of them. And when he reaches his heroics at the near end of the day, where after this class he's going to be taught by Snipe how to basically get more firearms training, then get more training how to use the cloning quirk in a better way. Then he's going to be taught some quirkless fighting. Personally, he likes it in the fact that he can use his quirk to do multiple things because of the fact that, well, if one clone knows how to do it, or himself knows how to do it, he can teach himself how to do things through his clones. Yes, he doesn't have a telepathic link. Well, he semi-does, but doesn't. Where they have a they are, by the Turing test, as sentient, but, well, it's complicated. It's the entire reason why his quirk was classified as sentient quirk. But anyway, when Izuku sees All Might pop in after his internal muttering, because, well, at this point, Izuku has to stop himself from muttering because, well, sometimes his clones mutter and then mutter and mutter and mutter and mutter, and sometimes it comes out of his mouth as multiple people muttering. And let's just say this. Imagine Izuku's muttering storms times 700,000. Yeah, let's just say Izuku who has gotten hit over the head in Aldera from muttering for that. But anyway, after All Might reads after postcards, and the fact that, well, All Might, one thing is that Izuku has to admit is that All Might is a competent hero, and, well, he will never say otherwise. But, is he a competent teacher? Not really. And he's had to begrudgingly say that because there's a decent amount of clones that are more critical of All Might than Izuku normally would be. But, well, he values the opinions of all his clones. So, the fact that All Might isn't perfect is honestly kind of unique experience, but basically all of them are put in pairs. And one thing that All Might didn't realize is that Izuku doesn't play around. Where All Might in this situation, during this exercise, if he was a participant, would do some more react checks, because even back when he was in school, he was decently-ish powerful, but Izuku just, when it was his turn against Bakugo and Ida and having Uraraka as his partner, because outside of character, all the pairs are the same. Izuku releases about 50,000 clones, and Uraraka says, hello, and Izuku says, okay, we have 5 minutes to plan to raid this building. Uraraka says, Uh, well, oh, Izuku says, do you mind if you, how much is your carry capacity with your quirk? 3 tons before I get woozy? Is he nauseous? Okay, 3 tons. Do we have any, and he uses a comm that he had, not the comm that he uses to reach the teachers, but a different comm. And he says, do we have any vans less than 3 tons? We can build up. And she hears on the other line a voice of Izuku saying, we can build one up pretty quickly. And Izuku says, that'll do. And Izuku quite literally brings out a literal 4-wheeler or something similar to it. Well, more like a desert vehicle, where basically it weighs is approximately a ton or 2, but she's honestly just surprised on what he can do with his quirk. And she takes the gravity off of it, and as many clones as can fit get on, and one of them lifts it and literally yeets the thing at the top of the building, and it lands. And basically, in a matter of a good 30 minutes, when Bakugo sees the amount of clones, Bakugo tries his best to go through them all, because he thought his clones were like poofing clones. But, well, one thing is that at the clones and Izuku haven't realized is that it's not common to be very masochistic, because these clones, even if they're mortally wounded, can technically, well, they can die, but it is as hard as killing a normal human being. Well, a bit different, but you get what I mean. And Bakugo, quite literally, even he is powerful, he cannot get through thousands of people, and one of Izuku's clones touches the bomb. And before All Might's even capable of saying heroes win, 100 to a few hundred clones literally lift the bomb and disassemble it there, and then basically take down the villains faster than either of them can blink. Because even Ida is kind of befuddled, because, well, he was literally lost. And All Might says, heroes win. You can stop now. And all the clones stop and then head downstairs, and basically the entire building's rumbling because of the thousands of clones in the building. And Ida says, how do I compete with that? And Bakugo says, you cheat. That Deku cheat. And one of the clones that go by say, oops, and accidentally jabs one of his elbows into Bakugo's back, and Bakugo uses his quirk on one of them, and basically, and technically speaking, under the Sentient Quirk Act, that basically allows, for example, Tokiyami to bring out Dark Shadow without technically being quirk use under that same idea. A few clones hit him to stop, and basically they all get out of the building before Bakugo even has a chance. And both Bakugo and Ida head back to the observation area, and All Might says, well, can someone tell me how the heroes won? Mo raises her hand, and All Might points on her and says, well, one thing is about the fact that Midoriya-kun used one of his strengths is the fact he very much overwhelmed his enemies. Because of the fact, even if you have a strong quirk, you cannot fight thousands of people and very much expect to win. And All Might says, in his head, I could not say anything better than that. And All Might says, can someone say who's the MPV? And everyone in the room says Izuku. And Momo says, Izuku was MPVP, where basically he took control of the situation because of his quirk. And the fact that he was not egotistical by him taking control of the situation because he was one of the best suited for the situation. Might have used more clones than absolutely necessary, but well, he used a strategy that worked for him. And the fact that he did not ignore his teammates was also a plus. Us, because of the fact that he could have just ignored Uraraka, but no, he had Uraraka help, and Uraraka didn't really have much of a chance to really show what she could do because of the fact that, her teammate had the situation in the bag. And All Might says, very well, can you say is something that the villains did wrong? One of the students, Shinso, said, I believe that Blondie, or Mr. Explodey, and Midoriya, and when he says Midoriya, he blushes. Know each other from middle school, and if Blondie knew Midoriya-kun before or high school, he could have used the advantage of knowing how his quirk worked. But apparently, it was as much a surprise for him as for Ida that he flat out just flooded the building with his clones. And All Might says, I agree. Anyway, let's head to the next round. And I'm just going to go through some of the major ones that I remember off the top of my head. For example, when Todoroki sees what happens in the first round, he honestly thinks to himself and thinks, cloning quirks. Is he related to ectoplasm? Wait a minute. Is ectoplasm Izuku's father? And Todoroki grabs a notebook called Conspiracy or outside of character, it's what we call the Conspiracy Theory notebook, but it's called Theories of the World. And few of the theories is that his sensei is part cat. That Midnight bribed someone to be a teacher or some reason. Nezu has plans on world annihilation or world domination. Facum and Momo, or Facum and Yorozu, related. Endeavor has no good bone in his body. And that's the only theories that he has at this current moment. And while the only reason why he really has the Yaozu Fat Gum theory is the fact that, well, he has met Yaozu with basically rich people events, and, well, Fat Gum and Momo have similar requirements. And well, he very much is, outside of character, a conspiracy theorist. Because, honestly, as a gag, Todoroki being a conspiracy theorist would be very funny. Anyway, back to the story. Izuku, after his heroics class, is honestly not very drained. Honestly, because, well, yes, like, he honestly at this point thinks that the calorie requirement is wrong because of the fact that he hasn't been losing that much weight. It's because of the amount of clones he's using. Because, realistically, he could have just used a few thousand, but he just wanted to use overkill to humiliate Bakugo because, well, even Izuku can be petty. But after heroics, he heads to the shooting range. And, well, All Snipe is there with Nezu. And Nezu says, Izuku, Midoriya, I have a question. After your shooting range, can you do an IQ test? Sure. Wouldn't hurt. And after Izuku brings out like a good few hundred clones, so basically he brought the teacher clones. And a side note is basically how his clones work in his head is that there's different quote-unquote professions. For example, the people that primarily are fists, or basically that try to do mostly martial arts, they're their own group of Izuku clone. The teacher clones are basically the clones that basically are some of the oldest and earned from the internet or any capability of knowledge. Clones that use guns or anything like that are their own individual quote-unquote job, but technically they can do two different things at once. But in the guns and projectiles, there are many different versions. For example, bows and arrows, crossbows, soldiers, snipers, rocket people, machine guns, etc. Basically, Izuku has somewhat of a military in his head. And, for example, he has medics, he has an entire few thousand going to try to emulate this copying ability, because he wants to use that, very much so. And while Izuku is basically using over 700,000 brains to do his daily life, because Izuku is pretty smart, like, very smart, but also the fact that his clones, basically, Izuku uses his clones' data, and the clones uses Izuku's data, and basically build off each other. Because they don't have a direct link. Like, they're not a hive mind. That is one of the disadvantages of Izuku's quirk. But, anyway, after the shooting range, Izuku goes with Nezu to basically do an IQ test. And it takes a few hours for Izuku to do the IQ test, because in the future the IQ test is changed and modified, in different ways. And Deku's IQ is... Deku's IQ is... When he looks at the results of his IQ test, he's honestly surprised. Because Izuku's IQ is 253. And Izuku's honestly very surprised. And Aizawa was there so he could turn off Izuku's quirk. And honestly, he at first didn't have issue, but realized it was going to be an hour, and kind of felt... He didn't really know how to say it, but he mentioned that he gets a quirk per hour, so... the fact that he's going to have this test for an hour, and Aizawa's going to have his quirk on him for an hour, is going to be not favorable, but he can still do it. And Aizawa says, that's a first. Your quirk basically stockpiles things through an hour, and, well, I can impede that. That's interesting. Izuku says, yeah. At this point, it's been just common for me just to, every hour, where be able to have a clone be born, so it's just weird for them not to be. And Nezu says, well, it makes sense. Everyone has their own version of normal. And, well, you have a very good result. And, well, if you don't mind, maybe once a week after school, we can have a class. As to increase your intelligence. That I wouldn't mind that, Nezu. And Eraserhead says, oh boy. And after Izuku's thing with with Nezu, Izuku heads home and calls Shinso, and, well, he remembers going to that little coffee shop, and well, it was fun. And Izuku is thinking maybe he would be interested in something with heroes. And Izuku and Shinso for a friend date, because Izuku is as solid as a brick, and Shinso is just blushing like madness because, well, he's still emo, he's just not as emo when Izuku is around. And after the friend date, Izuku hears about a good few thousand clones and basically yelling at each other. And Izuku says, Shinso, I want to try something. Do you mind if I bring you into my quirk space? Shinso says, have you ever done that before? No. But do you trust me? Yes, I do. And Shinso is brought into the quirk space, and every single clone in Midoriya City just stops. And basically, literal hundreds of thousands stampede to see Shinso. Because this is the first time an outsider has ever seen this. And Shinso says, holy hell. You weren't kidding about a literal city in your... Wait, isn't that a continent? Izuku says, how big is this place? one of the older clones, but, well, thanks to the fact that aging works the same as it would in normally. For example, if Izuku's clones that are basically, when a clone is born, they age from that point. Where yeah. Basically, Izuku's clones age from the point of being born. Yeah. But anyway, this clone says, well, one thing I do know is the fact that every clone born increases the size of this place. What? How? Don't know, but basically about equivalent to 100 times the size that can fit a standing person? Or is it 10 times? I don't remember. But basically that is how much this quirk expands. And Izuku says, well, oh, hello, everyone meet Shinso. And everyone says, and basically every clone basically says, datum, 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 datum. And basically every single clone whom Shinso can hear saying date him. And Shinso is blushing, and Izuku says, what? And Shinso hears over 100,000 face palms. And basically, Izuku is basically lifted up, and basically them all basically showing Shinso. And basically, at the end of the hour of humiliation is what Izuku's calling it, because the clone army literally brought Shinso to the Hall of Memories. So basically, Izuku's embarrassed enough to basically say they're dating, because, well, Izuku and his clones have a brother relationship, so basically this makes sense. But anyway, that is the end of this video, and well, you might notice something interesting. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and thank you.